There is one piece of advice in this story that actually works. A blind man gives it to Jon Snow. 4 words, and they cost him everything they save.
Kill the boy, Jon Snow. Winter is almost upon us. Kill the boy, and let the man be born.
Start with the boy. A bastard, raised beneath his father's roof but never his father's name. Close enough to the family to watch. Never close enough to belong. So he trades his name for a vow. The Night's Watch doesn't care who your mother was. Say the words and the bastard of Winterfell finally becomes something. A brother. The vow gets tested once, beyond the wall, by a girl who tells him he knows nothing. The boy falls in love, and the boy walks away from it, back to his duty, with 3 arrows in him for the trouble. 4 seasons in, the boy wins the room, the 998th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, elected by men who once mocked him. The boy finally belongs, which means he now has everything to lose. The first test comes within days. Janos Slynt refuses a direct order, and laughs about it. Watch Jon's face at the block. The boy in him is begging to pardon a frightened old man.
Please. I'm afraid. I've always been afraid.
He swings anyway, and when Jon seeks him out, Maester Aemon offers no comfort. Look at his eyes. This is a Targaryen who refused a crown, the only man at the wall who killed his own boy and survived it. Because the boy isn't youth. The boy is the need to be loved, and a man who needs to be loved will hesitate. This far north, hesitation kills more than winter does. So the man does the most hated thing a Lord Commander has ever done. He allies with the wildlings. Not out of mercy. Every corpse left north of the wall stands up again, on the wrong side. At Hardhome, the man is proven right in the worst possible way. Numbers mean nothing here. Steel means nothing. Ordinary blades shatter against a White Walker. Valyrian steel does not. 1 sword against 100,000. But being right is not the same as being forgiven. The Watch sees traitors marching through their gate, and at the edge of the frame, watch the boy who loved Jon most, learning to hate him. The answer comes at night, under a single word. Not a trial, not an argument, a sign, and a queue of brothers, each taking his turn, and the Watch sends its youngest to finish it.
For the Watch. For the Watch. For the Watch. Boy.
For the Watch.
When the Red Woman brings him back, count what returns. The body, the memories, the duty, and count what doesn't. Ask him, he'll tell you there was nothing. The boy they killed at that wall stayed dead. A man's first act tells you everything. He hangs the mutineers, and does not flinch at the last one, a child. The boy Jon Snow could never have hanged a boy. That Jon died in the yard.
My watch is ended.
And if you doubt the boy is gone, watch the man's final act. The woman he loves burns a city. She promises him the world. He answers with a dagger. The boy loved her. The man ended her. The advice worked. It kept him alive while kings were dying all around him. And it leaves him exactly where we found him, riding north, free and empty. Kill the boy. Just know the man is what's left. Jon is only the first chapter. Robb Stark refused to kill the boy. The Red Wedding was the invoice. Daenerys killed the girl, and the tyrant was what remained. And Bran killed the boy so completely, nothing human survived. Their stories are next. Jon Snow was given 4 words of advice and obeyed them. This is the story of the boy who refused. He was better than Jon at everything, except the one thing that matters.
The King in the North! The King in the North! The King in the North! The King in the North!
Robb Stark is what the boy looks like when the world says yes. 16, undefeated, crowned by a hall full of grown men shouting his name. Nobody gives him the advice. Watch what happens without it. And understand, the man in him was real. He out-generaled Tywin Lannister. He captured the Kingslayer with 2,000 men and a lie. Every battle he ever fought, he won. They called him the Young Wolf. But wars run on bridges, and the bridge belongs to Walder Frey. The toll is a marriage. Robb's hand for Robb's army crossing. The man accepts the trade. Remember this bridge. Then, on a battlefield full of the dead, the boy meets a nurse from Volantis. Jon Snow walked away from the girl he loved with 3 arrows in him. Robb Stark walks toward her. He marries her in secret. One night that belongs to the boy, paid for with a king's word. Because he believes an oath is like a battle, something you can apologize to afterward. When Lord Karstark butchers 2 Lannister children in their cells, every counselor says the same thing. Keep his swords. Robb takes his head instead, honor again, and half the army rides home in the dark.
Kill me and be cursed. You are no king of mine.
So the boy king goes back to the bridge to apologize. He offers his uncle in his place, and the old man smiles and grants him guest right. Bread and salt, the oldest protection in Westeros. Then the music changes. If you know the song, you know whose song it is. His mother knows. The toll for the boy's choices. His wife, his son, already named Eddard, his mother, his army, his wolf. They sewed Grey Wind's head onto his shoulders and paraded him. The realm's youngest king, turned into a joke. Do the arithmetic. Jon killed the boy, and still died. But death gave him back. Robb refused, and death kept him. The boy dies either way. The only question this story ever asks is whether the man survives him. Next, a frightened girl walks into a fire, and something else walks out. Daenerys killed the girl earlier than anyone. The next chapter asks what exactly was left. Chapter 3, Kill the Girl. Jon Snow was told to kill the boy, and obeyed. Robb Stark was never told, and refused. This is the third answer. A girl who did it before anyone gave her the advice. She walked into a fire. Something else walked out.
I am Daenerys Stormborn, of House Targaryen, of the blood of old Valyria. I am.
Start with what she was. 13 years old, sold by her own brother to a warlord for an army he was never going to get. Her price was ships. She wasn't a person in that transaction. She was currency. And then the girl learns the thing nobody meant to teach her. The Khaleesi is not the property of the Call. In this world, if you can make people follow you, nothing else about you matters. So when her husband dies, she builds a fire and walks into it. Everyone watching expects a widow's suicide. What the flames actually burn away is the girl who could be sold. The fire is not the miracle here. The exchange is. Watch what comes out of it. In Astapor, she buys 8,000 slave soldiers with a dragon, and the moment the trade is done, she gives one word and burns every master in the city.
Say
Dracarys.
It works. That's the problem. She takes Marine by hurling broken slave collars over its walls, arming the people inside against the men who own them. The city falls from within, and every master who ran it learns exactly what her justice costs. And it is justice. That's what makes it impossible to argue with. But conquest and government are different skills. She is magnificent at taking cities and hopeless at holding them. Every advisor who says wait or slower or mercy, she stops hearing them. There is no break on this woman. The girl was the break. By the time she reaches Westeros, she has burned the wheel breaker into a wheel of her own. She takes a city she has already won. The bells ring. That's the sound of surrender. And she looks at the sound of a city giving up.
I'm not going to stop the wheel. I'm going to break the wheel.
And she chooses fire. Not tactics, not vengeance on an enemy who was still standing. 100,000 people who had already stopped fighting. The girl who was sold as a child would have understood exactly what she was looking at. The girl was 10 years dead. It takes a man who loves her to end it. He kills the queen, but the queen was only ever what was left after the girl was burned away. So do the arithmetic. Jon killed the boy, and something human survived it. Daenerys killed the girl completely, and what was left conquered a continent and could not be reasoned with by anyone alive. The advice works. That is the warning, not the promise. Next, a boy who never got the choice. Someone killed the boy in him for sport, piece by piece, and named what remained. Chapter 4: The Boy Who Was Unmade. Jon was handed the knife and used it. Robb was never handed one. Daenerys found hers early. Theon Greyjoy is the only person in this story who never got to hold it. Someone else did the cutting. And it worked. That is the part nobody wants to look at.
What is dead may never die!
Start with what the boy actually was. Theon came to Winterfell at 10 years old. Not a son, not a guest, a hostage. Ned Stark's insurance against another Greyjoy rebellion, raised by the man who would have executed him if his father moved. So the boy built a costume. Swagger, a bow he was genuinely good with. Jokes nobody laughed at. 10 years of being almost a Stark, and never once being told that he was one. Then Robb sends him home to buy an alliance. He steps off the boat onto the Iron Islands in Stark clothes with a Stark accent, offering a Stark's terms. And every man on that dock looks straight through him. His father tells him the wolves made him soft. So the boy does what every unloved boy does. He picks the father who withheld it. He takes Winterfell with 20 men. It is a genuine feat of arms, and it is completely pointless. He cannot hold it. He knows he cannot hold it. Every man standing in that courtyard knows it too. Then Bran and Rickon slip out, and the boy panics. He cannot be the man who lost them. So he finds 2 farm boys, kills them, burns them past recognition, and hangs them up as Stark children. That is the whole tragedy in one image. He murdered 2 children to protect the appearance of being formidable. And when the walls are lost, the old Maester offers him the way out. Take the black, live, and Theon answers with the sentence that damns him.
You may be right. I've gone too far to pretend to be anything else.
What happens next is not punishment. Ramsay Bolton is not interested in a confession. He is running a procedure. He takes the fingers, the teeth, the name, and every time Theon tries to be Theon, he removes something else, until there is a thing in a kennel that answers to 1 syllable.
Theon was our enemy, but Reek will never betray us.
Here is why this chapter exists. The advice assumes a man is waiting inside the boy, that if you cut the boy away, something better steps out. Ramsay proved you can cut all the way down and find nothing waiting at all. Reek is not a man. Reek is what is left when the surgery is done by somebody who wants nothing to survive it. Which makes Theon the only one who has to run the operation backwards. Not kill the boy, grow a man back, by hand, out of a body that has been trained to flinch. It starts with a girl on a wall who needs him to be somebody, and a drop into the snow that neither of them expects to survive. He goes back for the sister he abandoned. He takes the beating he is owed, and when he finally stands in front of a Stark and asks to be judged, Jon Snow hands down the only sentence nobody else would. You do not have to choose. You were a Greyjoy, and you were a Stark. Both of them are real. So the end is not a redemption, it is an audit. He asks to stand in the Godswood, guarding the boy he tried to kill first, and Bran gives him the line that closes the entire argument.
You're a good man. Thank you.
Then he picks up a spear and runs at the thing that ends the world. Alone. No chance. No audience. Do the arithmetic. Jon killed the boy and the man survived. Robb refused and died a boy. Daenerys killed the girl so completely that nothing was left to argue with. Theon had the boy killed for him and then built the man back on purpose, knowing exactly what it cost. He is the only one who chose what he was made of. Next, a girl is handed the same instruction by professionals in a temple built for it. A girl has no name. Chapter 5. The Girl Who Said No. Jon was handed the knife. Robb was never given one. Daenerys found hers early. Theon had his used on him. Arya Stark is the fifth answer, and the only one who was offered the operation as a service. Kill the girl, they told her. Become no one. She is the only person in this story who said no.
What do we say to the god of death?
Not today.
Start before any of it. A little girl watches her father's head come off in front of a cheering crowd, and a man in black covers her eyes half a second too late. She has already seen it. From that second, Arya Stark is not really a child anymore. She is a project with a purpose. She turns the grief into an inventory, a list of names recited every night like a prayer, in the order she means to reach them. Other children say their prayers to be kept safe. She says hers to remember exactly who still has to die. The Hound is the first teacher, and he doesn't teach swords. He teaches economics, where a man's heart is, what a life is worth in coin, how to wait. He thinks he's dragging a hostage to sell. He is raising a killer, and by the time they part, she is better at his trade than he is. Then Braavos. She brings a coin and 3 words to a door at the edge of the sea, and the door opens. Behind it is the one institution in the entire world that offers precisely what the advice demands. As a trade, you can walk in and make.
Tonight.
A girl has no name.
This is the doctrine of the Faceless Men. Give up the girl completely, the name, the face, the whole history, and in exchange, you become no one. And no one can be anyone. It is the Kill the Boy sermon turned into a religion, with a temple and a priest and a hall full of the faces of everyone who paid. So they go to work, they take her sight, they beat her in the street with a stick, day after day, until Arya Stark is just a blind girl learning to be nobody. They are not punishing her, they are performing the exact surgery the advice describes. And here is the terrifying part. She is passing. She gets to the very edge, moments from being no one, and something stops her. She goes back to her room in the dark and digs out the one thing she hid from them. Needle, the sword her brother made her, and she cannot throw it away, because to throw it away is to throw away Arya. The girl, it turns out, is not for sale.
A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell. And I'm going home.
And that sentence is the whole series. Jon obeyed and stayed human. Robb refused and died. Daenerys killed the girl completely and became something no one could argue with. Arya walked all the way up to the same doctrine, learned everything it teaches, tasted exactly what it grants, and then kept her name and walked out. Here's the part nobody expects. Keeping the girl did not make her weak. She takes everything Braavos taught her and uses it as herself. She wears a dead man's face to feed an entire house their own sons. She crosses the list off, name by name. And when the dead come for the living, it is the girl who kept her name who leaps out of the dark and ends the Night King. So do the final arithmetic. The advice says, to become the weapon, you must kill the child. Jon proves you can obey it and survive. Theon proves it can be done to you and undone. Daenerys proves it works horribly. And Arya proves the whole premise was a lie. You do not have to kill the girl to become the blade. You can carry her all the way to the end and be deadlier for it. Next, a boy who never got to make the choice because a fall made it for him. He was pushed from a tower as a child, and what climbed back into the world years later was not a boy at all. Chapter 6: The Boy Who Fell. Jon was handed the knife. Robb was never given one. Daenerys found hers early. Theon had his used on him. Arya was offered it and said no. Bran Stark is the sixth answer, and the only boy who never got to choose. A fall chose for him, and what came back was not a boy and not a man.
The things I do for love.
Start with the boy Bran was. A climber. The one who scaled every wall and tower in Winterfell because his mother told him not to. A dreamer of knighthood, of swords and glory. Of all the Stark children, he was the most purely, restlessly alive. Then he climbs the wrong tower and sees the wrong thing. A hand shoves him off the ledge and the boy falls. His body lives, his legs die. And when he finally wakes, weeks later, he remembers nothing at all of the moment that ended his childhood. The boy who fell is simply gone. But something reaches for him in the dark of the coma. A three-eyed raven, and a sentence that sounds like a mercy and is really a sentence. He asks if he will ever walk again, and the answer is the whole rest of his life, folded into one line.
You'll never walk again. But you will fly.
So the broken boy goes north, carried on Hodor's back, dragged on a sled through the snow, past the wall, into the country of the dead. He is not running from anything. Understand that. He is being pulled toward a cave and a thing inside it that has been waiting 1,000 years for him. The thing is an old man grown into the roots of a tree, the last greenseer, and he does not tell Bran that he will be a knight, or a lord, or a man. He tells him what he will be used for. Not a boy, a vessel. The next place the memory of the world will live. So the training begins, and it is not training a person, it is emptying one. Bran stops living his own life almost entirely. He lives in the past. He lives inside other men's eyes, inside animals, inside the ravens. Every hour he spends becoming the three-eyed raven is an hour he spends being less of Brandon Stark. And then comes the cruelest proof this story ever offers. To make Bran what he must become, a gentle, simple man's entire life is spent. His mind, his years, his name, on a single task. One word, one door. Hold it so the boy can escape and finish being unmade.
Hold the door! Hold the door!
And what finally comes out of that cave is not Bran Stark. It says so itself. It cannot be lord of anything. It has no wants. It feels almost nothing. and it remembers everything that has ever happened. The boy was not killed by a choice or an enemy. He was erased, slowly, on purpose, and something older moved into the empty house. So do the arithmetic one last time. Jon killed the boy and stayed a man. Robb kept the boy and died. Daenerys killed the girl and became a tyrant. Theon had the boy killed and rebuilt him. Arya kept the girl and became the blade. And Bran is what is left when you kill the boy completely, and nothing human is born to take his place. Just the archive. Just the raven. And here is the joke at the very bottom of the whole thing. Westeros takes that, the emptiest of all of them, the one who wants nothing and remembers everything and is barely a person at all, and it makes him king. The boy who was killed the most completely sits the throne above every boy who fought to keep himself. Kill the boy, the wise man said, and maybe no one is born at all, and maybe that is exactly who was always going to rule. Next, two boys who were never asked to kill anything. They were simply handed crowns as children and told to be kings before they had ever been men. It broke them both. Chapter 7. The Boys Who Would Be King. This whole story has been about a single choice. Kill the boy, the old man said, and let the man be born. But two boys in this realm were never offered the choice at all. They were simply handed crowns as children, and the crown did the killing for them.
Serve me my wine.
Joffrey Baratheon is the boy who was never once told no. Crowned before he understood what a crown was, answering to no one, holding the single thing manhood was supposed to earn, power over other people, before he had earned anything at all. So the boy simply stays a boy, a cruel one. He makes a frightened girl stand and look at her own father's severed head. He points a loaded crossbow at people because no one can tell him not to. He is a child pulling the wings off flies, except the flies are subjects, and there is no adult left alive who is allowed to stop him. His grandfather sees exactly what he is and tries to teach him how to be a king, but you cannot lecture a boy into becoming a man. The boy has to kill himself from the inside, and Joffrey never once will. So he dies the way he lived, a child, poisoned at his own wedding, clawing at his own throat in front of his mother. And then the crown passes to the other kind of boy entirely. Tommen, gentle, kind, everything his brother was not, and it destroys him just as completely, because kindness with no spine underneath it is only another way of never growing up. Tommen is a boy who does what he is told, first by his mother, then by his wife, then by a barefoot priest with an army of fanatics. He is a king ruled by every single person in the room, because he never became the one man he most needed to rule, himself.
I am the king.
You are.
And when the two people he loves are finally turned against each other, his mother against his wife, the boy has nothing of his own left to stand on. He is not a king, he is a child wearing a crown. And the moment the world becomes too large and too cruel and too loud, he simply steps out of it. He lifts the crown off his own head. He sets it down on the table. He walks, without a word, to an open window, and he steps into the air. No speech, no struggle. The gentlest boy in Westeros, gone as softly as he lived. Two boys, two crowns, two versions of the exact same failure. Joffrey never killed the boy, and the boy became a monster. Tommen never killed the boy, and the boy became a victim. The cruelest child in the realm and the kindest child in the realm died of precisely the same thing. Because the crown was never the reward for becoming a man. It was the test of whether you already had. And a boy who is handed the test already marked as past, who never has to kill the child inside himself, does not get to skip the reckoning. He only meets it later, and harder, and with a whole kingdom watching. So this is where it ends. One rule, the entire realm over. Jon killed the boy and lived. Robb refused and died. Daenerys killed the girl completely and became fire. Theon had it done to him and was remade. Arya was offered it and said no, and kept everything she was. Bran was killed all the way down and rules a kingdom of ash. And 2 boys were handed crowns instead of the choice, and the crown killed them both. Kill the boy, or the boy gets you killed. From the very first page, there was never a third answer.